Hey, metal detecting and finding coins just kind of goes together. Do enough metal detecting and you will find some coins. Now, if you concentrate around old habitations, you know, old cabins and houses and places where people live, sure, you're going to find more coins. But even in, you know, remote gold areas where I do a lot of hunting for nuggets, there still were miners, and the miners still had money, and the miners still lost a few coins now and then. So do enough metal detecting and you'll find some coins. Now, coins potentially can be really valuable. I mean, I know some folks who found coins out hunting with their metal detectors that, you know, had values approaching $10,000 and more. That's a lot of money. That's no small amount. I mean, that'd be like me finding more than 5 ounces of gold at one time. That's a pretty amazing thing. But how do you get the most out of your coins? If you want to make a big find and get some cash out of it, how do you get the most value out of your coins? Well, I'm Chris Ralph, the professional prospector, and today we're going to talk about coins and coin finds. In addition to metal detecting and finding coins, I've collected coins since I was a kid, so I know a lot about collecting coins and coin value. I'll be using my latest tool, the Tomlov digital microscope camera thing, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but I've had some really good luck taking excellent pictures with this, and I'm glad to share those pictures with you. Now, to get the most money for your finds, you need to sell the coins to convert them into cash, and in order to do that, you need good pictures like that camera takes. We'll also be talking about why some coins are a lot more valuable than others, what problems you have in metal detecting, because in metal detecting coins, we almost always get corroded or damaged somehow coins. And you need to know about cleaning and that kind of stuff in order to get the greatest value for your find. Let's start talking about collector value in coins, about grades and rarity. Now, rarity has to do with how many of them, and the demand too, of how many of a certain coin. So like, you know, there was a quarter made in 1916, a standing Liberty quarter. I think they only made a little more than 50,000 copies of it. And so it's a really rare quarter. Normally a lot, even in those days, the quarter mintages were in the 5 and 10 million and sometimes a lot more. So they would make what they thought they needed, but sometimes for whatever reason, they would only mint a few. And those coins with rarity are the most valuable. Now, it also has to do with demand. And so, like, I recently purchased a $10 gold coin. There was only 100,000 of that coin minted. But it's not worth a lot more than the value of that gold coin, the value of the gold, because there's not a lot of demand for that particular gold coin. It's not considered, you know, something super special to a lot of collectors. So it's rarity, you know, the number that the mint made originally of them, how many of them made it into circulation, the condition of the coin, and the demand for the coin. Now, coins come in different conditions as they go through circulation and wear. You know, they're spent, they're bought, sold, you know, they're used in commerce all over the place. They get wear, and they will kind of show their wear. So you need some information about grading coins, and grading coins is way beyond the scope of this video. There's information on the internet if you're really interested in finding more about how to grade the coins you found, that you can get that information on the internet. But what I'm going to start, and of course there's also lists, like you can look at the PCGS coin price guide. It will tell you, what the mint and year and type of coin. So if you wanted to look up, 1909 SVDB penny, you could find that on there, and it'll tell you, depending on the where the coin has experienced, what the value of that coin is. Now, like I say, the wear can make a huge amount of difference. Obviously, in the coins with the most wear have a lower value. Coins with less wear, that are basically in the same condition as they came from the mint. Coin collectors call that mint state. So it's, you know, a mint state coin like it came from the mint. You know, those have higher value. Let's compare a couple of coins of different grades just to get a feel for that. So here's a 1929 quarter. It still has most of the detail that was present when it was made at the mint. You look at Miss Liberty's head, and you know, most of the detail of her head and hair are still there. You look at her shield, and you can see the shield all the way around, even the devices inside the shield, like the rivets going around it. You can see them all, especially on the left side. And then you look at her knee, and there's a little tiny bit of wear on her knee. And then also look at the beading around the edge of the coin. It's all pretty much still there. And so I would give this coin a grade of EF 40 or 45. It has, like I say, most of the detail, but it does show a little wear. And that's what this coin would be. And that establishes the value. This is the reverse of that same coin. You look at the eagle, especially the front of the eagle's wing that's nearest to us. You can see there's a little bit of wear on the edge of the wing, but behind the edge you can still see all the feathers and the details of the feathers, and even in the far wing you can see a lot of the details of the feathers. Again, this is typical for a coin that would grade in the extra fine category. Here's an example of the same type of coin, but one with a lot more wear. You look at Miss Liberty's head, and it's pretty much flat. You look at her shield, and the left side of the shield is pretty much all worn away. You look at her leg, and all the way down her leg, there's wear down to the foot. And then the beading around the edge of the coin, yeah, you just can see where it was. It isn't apparent anymore. This coin I would grade, like a VG10, maybe something like that. Here's the reverse of that same coin, and again you can see the loss of detail because of wear. The wing of the eagle is well worn, and although there's some detail of feathers in the wing nearest us, the feathers on the far wing is pretty much worn away. Now, most of the coins that detectorists find have undergone different amounts of corrosion. Some virtually none, some extreme and terrible levels of corrosion. It depends on how long the coin was buried and what type of metal the coin is made out of. Let's talk about this. Now, some coins that we have in circulation in the US and of course elsewhere in the world are made out of copper. It's not an unusual metal for coins to be made out of. Copper, unfortunately, is a little bit more active metal, and so when it goes in the ground, it has a higher tendency toward corrosion. And the longer it stays, the more corroded it's going to get. I've seen people find things like US large cents, the last of which was minted in 1857. They find large cents from the early 1800s, maybe even the late 1700s. And they find, you know, the coin comes out of the ground all green. It's totally corroded. I gotta tell you, unfortunately, coins that are severely corroded do not have anything like the value that they would have if they weren't corroded. But there's no magic way to undo the damage that was done by centuries of sitting in the ground. Now, the next type of alloy that is pretty common is the copper nickel alloy. It's the alloy that's used in nickels and has been since the mid-1800s, and is also used today as the coating, the cover for dimes and quarters and halves. So these days when they make those, they have a silver colored surface, but on the inside it's copper. And that silver colored surface is that copper nickel alloy. These alloys have a little bit less tendency to corrode, but they still corrode, and they corrode pretty good. And you know, if a coin has only been in the ground a short time, it may not be terribly, and it depends too, corrosion depends on how wet the area is. So if you're out hunting in the hinterlands of Nevada, where I live, it's pretty dry, and the rate of corrosion is less. if you're hunting in Tennessee or someplace in the South or some other place in the US that gets a fair amount of rain over the year, you're going to have more corrosion because the water and the oxygen in the air are the agents that cause corrosion to the coins. Now, the next metal that we might want to talk about is silver. And silver doesn't corrode very much. Under extreme conditions, under the right conditions, it can corrode a little bit, but most of the time it corrodes very little. And so they usually look okay. It usually has comparatively little damage. Usually silver coins can be rinsed off with water and sold pretty much as is because they don't have a lot of severe corrosion. The last metal I want to talk about, of course, is gold. And gold has virtually zero corrosion. It can sit in the ground. I've seen coins that have probably been sitting in the ground for more than 500 years, gold coins found in Europe and that sort of thing, from long ago, and they come out of the ground looking like they got dropped yesterday. And they just have no corrosion. Now, sometimes other things can cause staining on the surface, but the coin itself is not corroded. The problem with corrosion is most people have a high tendency that, oh, I found a dirty, nasty, corroded coin, let's clean it. There's not a magic in cleaning. Let's take a look at a corroded coin and compare it with one that isn't corroded. This is a 1940 Jefferson nickel that I found while I was out prospecting. It had been in the ground for some time. I'm estimating probably something on the order of 50, maybe 60 years. I say that because it's got some wear on it, so it's spent some years in circulation. It's moderately corroded on the front. It's worse on the back. If you were to remove this corrosion and bring it back to its normal color, the surface would be badly pitted. This is the back of that same nickel with worse corrosion. Again, if you removed the corrosion and cleaned it up, it would be pitted and nasty looking. Here's another nickel with dirt and grime on it, but it's just the dirt and grime of normal circulation in clanging around in people's pockets and purses. Although it's a buffalo, it really only is a few years older than the other one, which was a 1940. This is a 1937. This, however, is a valuable collector nickel, this buffalo, because it's one of the famous 37D three-leg buffalo. You can see that one of the four legs is basically missing, and one of the rear legs is only half there. So this nickel is, in its current condition, is worth probably somewhere around $650 retail. But if it had that corrosion on it, it probably would be something more in the $250, $300, more or less about half price. See, coin collectors will pay more for coins that have just a natural patina, like they were in circulation or maybe never were in circulation, and those coins are going to be the more valuable. Corroded coins, yeah, the problem is, like, if you were to take a large cent, a copper coin that was lost, say, 200 years ago in the early 1800s, pull it out of the ground, it's all green. But you can still see the shape of the coin. The green corrosion maintains the shape of the coin. But if you say, well, I'm just going to get that corrosion off the surface, the problem is that almost always that corrosion is going to be way more than surface deep. So you put it in acid, the acid dissolves away the corrosion. Then you have this heavily pitted, nasty looking coin that will sell for, well, certainly a tiny fraction of what an uncorroded coin would sell for. So in cleaning coins, really the best advice is no, just don't do it. Just say no. And you can wash it off, just put it under water and wash the dirt off. Don't put it under water and then rub it all around, because you're going to clean it off with your fingers, right? The problem is you could take a silver or gold coin, and if there's a little bit of dirt on the surface left and you rub it all around, you put really fine scratches all over that, and you could lower the value of your coin by 30 to 50%. You could take a $10,000 coin and turn it into a $5,000 or $7,000 coin. You can lose several $1,000s just doing that thinking. Now, people do, rare coins are rare even in detecting, and people, sometimes you find a silver coin like a mercury dime that doesn't really have any value more than just the silver metal in the coin. Hey, you want to clean that up, you rub it with steel wool. It doesn't really make any difference. The amount of silver in the silver dime will still be the same, and that's the only value. It doesn't have any collector value to it. So, but if you had a rare date coin and you do that, you can cost yourself big money. Now, historically, coin collectors used to clean coins all the time. And the truth is, if you get older coins, it's really common to find ones that have been cleaned. It's actually more uncommon to find ones that haven't been cleaned. I had an aunt, a great aunt, who, she was born, I think, in the 1870s, and she lived until just after I was born. I don't remember her because when she passed, I think I was a year or two old. But she had this extensive coin collection, and I've been told by my grandparents, oh yeah, she had this amazing coin collection. And one of the other relatives got a hold of the coin collection and sold it to a friend of his for face value. A few of her coins had fallen in a closet or been stuffed aside someplace here. I got the fewer coins that didn't get sold to the guy. And all of them were high value coins. All of them were cleaned. But because that was historically what collectors did. Collectors just didn't have the education, and so, hey, we'll make my coin all shiny. And that's not really what collectors pay for. They pay for the natural look, that looked like it really was, like it came out of circulation. The other thing that I remember doing when I was a kid, and I've seen people do this when I was a kid collecting coins, is to take like car wax, car polish, something like that. We used to use turtle wax, and you take the coin and you rub it and it gets as shiny as can be. Again, that lowers the value of the coin. So, it's an art. The cleaning of the coins is and to have them look natural when you're done. There is such things as professional conservation of coins, where they will take a coin and they know what they're doing and don't go beyond what is necessary to be done, and will restore it somewhat. I mean, you can't take a coin that's worn and unwear it, make it look like it just came out of the mint. That there's no magic that does that. But things like I know a guy who was in England and found a gold coin, and it was an old hammered type gold coin, but it was in a field, and years of the field being plowed and everything else, the coin was folded in half. So, I mean, you could see what was on it, but it had been pretty much bent to where it wasn't really like this, but it was clearly bent badly. And he shipped it off to a professional conservator who was able to unfold the coin and make it look like it had never been folded. So, if you know what you're doing, it can be done, but it's a skill that people don't share. It's kind of a industry secret thing. You learn the skills of this, you don't share it with anybody because you're letting them have the business. So if you've gone to the effort to learn this skill, then they want to keep that skill for themselves. So for most detectorists, when it comes to cleaning coins, my advice is just say no. You can use water and rinse stuff off, but don't scrub it. Don't use a toothbrush. Don't even rub it in your hands. Just wash it with water, carefully dry it off, and, don't do anything more to it. Maybe, take it to a dealer and ask him what he thinks if you have some questions. And, but most of the time, I'll tell you, no is the better choice, really. But if you find a coin and you have some question, check those PCGS price guide things, and that way you'll know whether you have a coin that, yeah, in the condition it's in, it's a silver quarter that's worth $2 because there's $2 of silver in it, then okay, you can clean it or do whatever you want because there's not any collector value to the coin. So when you find coins in the, out in your metal detecting, be sure to know what's valuable and what isn't. Usually, if you do find something valuable, the best way to get the value out of it is to sell it. And these days, the real opportunity that didn't exist decades ago is buying and selling on places like eBay. Now, in order to do that, you really need to have good pictures, good clear pictures of coins, and to take them nice and clear. I mean, I've looked at coins on eBay, and it might be a coin that I'm interested in, but if it's blurry, I'm not going to bid on it because you can't really see what damage might, the coin might be what you hope it is, but then again, it might not. You just can't see because the pictures are poor. Let's look at some coin photos and talk about selling coins on places like eBay.
Here's a coin I'm going to be selling shortly on eBay. Good picture of the back, but there's nothing unusual on the back side of the cent. Now the front. Here's the front side of that coin. It looks very weird, doesn't it? This is actually a mint error where the mint had a problem and created a coin with basically two back sides. So what happened is a coin came in under its normal process and was stamped on both front and reverse, but it stuck to the front side. It stuck to the Lincoln face side of the die. And then another coin came in and the imprint of the reverse of the coin on the coin stuck on that upper die came down and slammed into this, and probably a number of times. As you can see, it smooshed out the Lincoln Memorial and kind of blew it up. This kind of coin has some value, but it's important to have good pictures of it. This is a coin I actually bought on eBay. It's a barber dime from 1896, and it's a little bit rare because there weren't that many of these made. This is the reverse of that coin, showing that it was minted in New Orleans. That's what the O at the bottom is for. And you can see it hasn't been cleaned or messed with. And so when I saw it on eBay and there was good photos, I went ahead and bid on it, and I ended up winning the coin. This is a coin I bought many years ago from a coin dealer, but if I wanted to sell it on eBay or some other internet site, I would need excellent photos like this to show the potential buyers what it really looked like so they get a feel for the coin. And this photo shows why the coin is so valuable, more than just the gold. The CC below the eagle denotes that it was minted in Carson City, and most Carson City gold coins are worth quite a bit. And because I detect in Northern Nevada there's more Carson City minted coins than one might expect.
One of the biggest problems on sites like eBay are fake coins from China or other places. I'm going to talk a little bit about recognizing fakes, how you do that, and what the characteristics are. But let's take a look at a fake coin and we'll talk about it.
This is a fake gold piece. It's a $3 gold coin, which they minted for a number of years. But this one is not legitimate. It wasn't made by the U.S. Mint. It was made someplace in the Middle East in I think the 1970s. And they made a number of these, and they made them all of the same year. The trick with this is that it's made of the right gold alloy. And I bought it not as a $3 U.S. gold coin, but I bought it for the gold that it contained. Now, most of the ones that are on the market today that come from China, if they're gold colored, they're not gold. They are some other yellow metal alloy, and may possibly be gold plated, but they're not solid gold like this. And so you got to watch out for the Chinese ones. One of the ways to tell is to measure all the measurements, both the diameter and the thickness. What happens with the Chinese fakes is, whether it's gold or silver, is they will make it the correct diameter so the coin looks right, but they'll make it a little thicker so that the weight comes out right. So it has the metal that they use is less dense than gold or silver, and so they have to have a little more metal in there to come out with the right weight, and so they make the coin a little thicker to trick people. This is the back of that same coin. Again, it looks okay, but it's not the right, it's not something that was made by the U.S. Mint. It just looks like a thing that was made by the Mint. So if you're buying gold or silver coins on the internet, whether it be eBay or someplace else, be very careful and be sure that you're getting the thing, have a good photograph and know what's right so that you're getting the legitimate coin, because otherwise you may be getting a Chinese fake that's it doesn't have the metal that you expect.
Now, I mentioned my new toy here, my new tool for taking pictures of small things, and if you want to sell coins on the internet, you need good photos. I mean, that's what I've been saying. And you got to have them, otherwise people are going to ignore you. So I used this thing. I took some real clear pictures that you've seen. It's an excellent device for doing that. Now, I will admit that they did give me this one to use, but like I say, I was kind of looking for something like this before they contacted me. You can buy one. They're relatively inexpensive. I mean, they're not super cheap, but they're not super expensive either. I put a link to in the description to the site on Amazon where they sell, and they even gave me a 10% discount. So if you're thinking about buying something like this, you can get a 10% discount. Take a look at the link in the description below, and if you click on it, Amazon gives you a little cookie that will allow you to get a 10% discount when you make a purchase. The discount is only good to the end of this month, the end of August. But be sure to check that out if you are interested. The links, like I say, are below in the video description. Now, I mentioned about metal detecting because I do a lot of metal detecting. I often go out and look for gold. And, finding gold with a metal detector is a skill. It's like learning to be a plumber or an electrician. Just owning a pipe wrench doesn't make a guy a journeyman plumber. But knowing the skills of plumbing, that's what makes him a journeyman plumber. Same thing is for gold prospecting. And to help you, if you want to learn more about finding gold, I wrote a book. It's called Fistful of Gold, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my book right now. So let me tell you a little bit more about my book. It's called Fistful of Gold, and I wrote it because I want you to be able to go out and find for yourself Fistful of Gold. And you can see that it's an encyclopedia with all kinds of information, pictures, and that sort of thing. It's not in color, but color would have cost me a lot more to have printed, and so the book would have cost a lot more. It's for sale on Amazon, and you can pick it up. I'll put a link in the description below. I also serve as the editor for a prospecting magazine. It's ICMJ's Prospecting and Mining Journal. And honestly, you should check that out. We got stories and information, legal stuff, everything you know to increase your skills as a prospector. I write articles in this every month, and a lot of other very experienced prospectors contribute to the magazine as well. So check the magazine out. Also, I have a website, and the website is at NevadaOutbackGems.com. I'll put a link for it in the description below, but there's gobs of information there that you will find useful in your prospecting efforts. Finally, I want to say that I really appreciate your comments and thoughts, and even positive criticism. Don't come on there and just toss out insults, because I'll just delete your comments. But if you've got helpful things to say and questions to ask, do write and put those in the comments, because I answer my comments to people, and you'll hear from me in responding to you. So if you've enjoyed this video and you like what you see and you're interested in finding out more, well then sign up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so they'll let you know when I post new videos. And like it and share it if again you see stuff that you really are excited about. And I'll be coming out with lots more new videos, and so we'll see you again real soon.